What happens when an archaeologist uncovers an ancient artifact that begins to control her mind? You won't believe how far she'll go to unlock its secrets and what it unleashes on humanity. The twin suns of Zargon burned low over the jagged expanse of crimson dunes, casting long shadows that danced like specters across the barren landscape. Kate Frost adjusted her visor, squinting against the glare as her boots sank into the soft sand. Behind her, the skeletal remains of a derelict rover creaked under the weight of relentless winds. The expedition had been doomed before it even began. A catastrophic storm had wiped out half their gear, leaving them stranded with dwindling supplies and mounting desperation. Yet none of that mattered to Kate. Not anymore. Her gloved fingers brushed against the cool metal protruding from the earth, sending a shiver down her spine. At first glance, it resembled nothing more than a shard of debris, perhaps remnants of some forgotten spacecraft. But as she dug deeper, revealing intricate engravings etched into its surface, her breath caught. These weren't ordinary markings. They were deliberate, alien. Each curve seemed to hum with latent power, as though waiting patiently for someone, or something, to awaken it. Back at camp, the others were growing restless. Supplies were running dangerously low, and tensions simmered just below the surface. When Kate returned clutching the artifact, her colleagues exchanged wary glances. "You shouldn't have brought that thing back," muttered Dr. Elias Voss, the team's xenobiologist, his voice laced with unease. But Kate ignored him, consumed by the thrill of discovery. Little did she realize, the artifact wasn't merely an object. It was a key, and once turned, there would be no going back. As night fell, the dual moons cast an eerie silver glow over the encampment. The artifact sat on a makeshift workbench in Kate's tent, its surface gleaming faintly despite the dim lighting. She ran her fingers over the engravings, tracing the lines with precision. They weren't random. They formed patterns almost like circuitry. Her portable scanner buzzed erratically as she attempted to analyze its composition. The readings made no sense. It was as if the artifact defied the laws of physics, existing simultaneously as both solid matter and pure energy. Then, without warning, it pulsed. A low hum filled the air, resonating through the tent and vibrating in Kate's chest. She stumbled backward, startled, as the symbols along the artifact's surface began to glow faintly. They shifted, rearranging themselves into new configurations that seemed to ripple outward like waves on water. For a moment, she thought she heard whispers, soft, indistinct murmurs that slithered into her mind like tendrils of smoke. "What the hell is that?" Marcus Hale shouted, bursting into the tent. His face was pale, his eyes wide with alarm. He pointed at the artifact, which now emitted a faint blue light. "It's doing something." Kate shook her head, trying to clear her thoughts. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I think it's communicating." "Communicating?" Rhea Patel exclaimed, joining them. Her arms were crossed tightly over her chest, her expression a mix of fear and skepticism. "With what? Us? Or something else?" Before anyone could respond, the artifact let out a sharp, high-pitched tone that sent everyone stumbling to their knees. The sound reverberated through the camp, causing equipment to spark and malfunction. Lights flickered, and the wind outside picked up, howling like a living beast. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the noise stopped. Silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the sound of frantic breathing. Kate stared at the artifact, her heart pounding in her chest. It wasn't just reacting, it was alive. And whatever it wanted, it wasn't done yet. "We only scratched the surface here. But trust me, things are about to get far more intense. Stay tuned if you want to know how this ancient relic starts twisting her reality." That night, As the dual moons cast an eerie silver glow over the encampment, strange things began to happen. First, it was the comms system. Random bursts of static interrupting transmissions, followed by garbled voices speaking in languages no one recognized. Then came the dreams. Vivid, haunting images of vast cities suspended in starlit voids, populated by towering creatures whose eyes glowed like embers. Kate woke screaming, drenched in sweat, clutching the artifact to her chest as though it might offer solace. By morning, others reported similar experiences. Crew member Rhea Patel claimed she'd seen figures moving outside her tent, though no footprints marred the sand. Even stoic engineer Marcus Hale admitted to feeling watched while repairing the damaged generator. Paranoia spread like wildfire, fracturing whatever semblance of unity remained among them. Determined to understand the artifact's purpose, Kate set up a makeshift lab inside her quarters. Using portable scanners, she mapped its composition. An alloy unknown to science, emitting faint electromagnetic waves. But the real breakthrough came when she noticed the symbols glowing faintly along its edges. They weren't random, they formed patterns, sequences that pulsed rhythmically, like coordinates. Could this be a map? Or worse, a beacon? She shared her findings with the group during breakfast, spreading out schematics and notes across the table. These symbols aren't decorative, she explained, pointing to a series of interconnected lines. They're instructions, coordinates, maybe even a signal. A signal for what? Elias asked, his brow furrowed in concern. For whoever left it here, or for something we don't want to meet. Rhea leaned forward, her voice sharp. Or maybe it's not a signal at all. Maybe it's a trigger, something we activate without realizing it. Kate bristled at the accusation. If it's dangerous, wouldn't we have seen signs already? Look, I'm not saying we should jump in blindly, but ignoring it won't make it go away. The argument escalated quickly, tempers flaring as exhaustion and fear took their toll. Marcus slammed his fist on the table. Enough! We can't keep arguing about this. Either we figure out what it does or we destroy it. Those are our options. Destroy it. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Kate clenched her jaw, her grip tightening on the edge of the table. Destroying the artifact felt wrong, not just because of its potential value, but because of the connection she'd begun to feel with it. It was as if it understood her, spoke to her in ways no one else could. Every pulse, every shift in its patterns felt like a conversation, one she couldn't abandon. Later that evening, unable to shake the feeling that she was missing something crucial, Kate activated the artifact again. This time, instead of chaos, there was clarity. The symbols rearranged themselves into a holographic projection above the relic, a swirling vortex of light that pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm. It wasn't random, it was a countdown. Each pulse corresponded to a number, displayed in a script that defied translation yet somehow made perfect sense to Kate. Her heart raced as she pieced together the implications. The artifact wasn't just a map or a key, it was a trigger. And once the countdown reached 0, something monumental would happen. But what? Would it summon help from across the stars? Or unleash destruction on an unimaginable scale? The others pleaded with her to shut it down, but Kate hesitated. Something deep inside her whispered that this was bigger than any of them, that the artifact's purpose transcended individual lives. We're on the brink of revelation here. You don't want to miss what happens next. The artifact's sudden activation left the team shaken, but Kate couldn't ignore the opportunity it presented. Its pulsating glow seemed to beckon her closer, as if inviting her to unlock its secrets. She spent hours meticulously analyzing the patterns etched into its surface, cross-referencing them with ancient star charts stored in her portable database. Slowly, a chilling realization dawned on her. These weren't just coordinates. They were instructions. Instructions for opening something. When she shared her findings with the group, the reaction was immediate and visceral. "You're saying this thing is some kind of key?" Marcus asked, his voice trembling despite his usual stoicism. Rhea shook her head vehemently. "We don't know what it does. For all we know, it could be a weapon or worse." Kate tried to explain that the artifact's behavior suggested intelligence, a consciousness buried within its core. It wasn't merely reacting to stimuli, it was adapting, learning, evolving. Every interaction with it felt like a conversation, albeit one conducted in a language no human had ever spoken. Yet, the more time she spent studying it, the clearer its intentions became. The artifact wanted to be activated. It needed someone like her, to complete the sequence encoded within its symbols. That night, under the watchful gaze of Zargon's twin moons, she activated the artifact again. This time, instead of chaos, there was clarity. The symbols rearranged themselves into a holographic projection above the relic, a swirling vortex of light that pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm. It wasn't random, it was a countdown. Each pulse corresponded to a number, displayed in a script that defied translation yet somehow made perfect sense to Kate. Her heart raced as she pieced together the implications. The artifact wasn't just a map or a key, it was a trigger. And once the countdown reached 0, something monumental would happen. But what? Would it summon help from across the stars? Or unleash destruction on an unimaginable scale? The others pleaded with her to shut it down, but Kate hesitated. Something deep inside her whispered that this was bigger than any of them, that the artifact's purpose transcended individual lives. As the countdown ticked closer to completion, the atmosphere grew heavier, charged with an energy that prickled against their skin. The winds picked up, howling like banshees across the desert. Shadows danced unnaturally around the camp, stretching and contorting in ways that defied logic. It was as though the very fabric of reality was beginning to unravel. Panic rippled through the camp as the countdown accelerated. Each pulse sent shockwaves through the air, rattling equipment and stirring up clouds of dust. The artifact's energy grew stronger, almost tangible, like static electricity clinging to their skin. Kate tried to shut it down, but every attempt failed. Whatever mechanism controlled it was beyond human comprehension. Then came the voices, low, guttural whispers that slithered into their minds without warning. They spoke in fragments, disjointed phrases that defied translation. Yet somehow Kate understood them. "Dash, prepare," they hissed. "Dash, the gate will open." Elias stumbled backward, clutching his head. "It's not just communicating. It's reading us, feeding off our thoughts." His accusation hung heavy in the air, forcing Kate to confront the truth. Was she responsible for whatever nightmare was about to unfold? Before anyone could act, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A massive fissure split the earth, radiating outward from the artifact. From the depths emerged a shimmering portal, its edges crackling with energy. Beyond it lay nothingness, or so it seemed. The portal shifted and writhed, as though alive. Colors swirled within its void-like expanse, forming shapes that flickered in and out of existence. At first glance, it appeared chaotic, but upon closer inspection, patterns emerged, geometric designs that pulsed in sync with the artifact's countdown. "What is that thing?" Rhea whispered, her voice barely audible over the growing cacophony of noise. "I don't know," Kate admitted, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and terror. "But I think it's trying to show us something." The others exchanged uneasy glances. None of them trusted the artifact, or Kate for that matter. Her obsession with it bordered on fanaticism, and the way she clutched it protectively only fueled their suspicions. Still, None dared intervene as she stepped closer to the portal, drawn by an invisible force she couldn't resist. As the countdown neared its end, the portal expanded, engulfing the surrounding area in a blinding light. When the brightness faded, strange figures began to materialize within its depths. Shadowy silhouettes moved with unnatural grace, their forms shifting between recognizable humanoid shapes and grotesque, alien monstrosities. The team scrambled to regroup, grabbing whatever weapons they had, mostly tools repurposed for survival rather than combat. Kate stared transfixed, unable to look away. The artifact now felt like a part of her, its presence intertwined with her very consciousness. She knew, deep down, that stepping through that portal would answer questions she'd spent her entire career chasing. But at what cost? Marcus broke the silence. We need to destroy it. Now. No. Kate snapped, surprising even herself with the ferocity in her voice. This isn't just some trinket. It's a doorway to knowledge. If we close it now, we'll never understand why it chose us. Chose us? Rhea shot back, her tone sharp with disbelief. It's using us, Kate. Can't you see that? The argument was cut short as one of the shadowy figures stepped fully into their reality. Towering over them, its body seemed to ripple like liquid metal, reflecting distorted images of the terrified humans before it. Then, without warning, it lunged. Screams erupted as the creature attacked, its movements impossibly fast. It swiped at Marcus, who barely managed to dodge, leaving a jagged gash across his chest plate. Blood trickled from the wound, though whether physical or psychological remained unclear. The air around them crackled with energy, and the portal behind the creature pulsed violently, as if feeding off the chaos. Kate's instincts kicked in. Grabbing a plasma cutter from her toolkit, she fired a concentrated beam at the creature. To everyone's astonishment, the blast connected, causing the being to recoil momentarily. But it recovered quickly, its form shifting again, this time into something even more menacing. Its limbs elongated unnaturally, ending in razor-sharp claws that glinted under Zargon's twin moons. Its face, or what passed for one, morphed into a grotesque amalgamation of features. Insectoid eyes, a gaping maw filled with serrated teeth, and tendrils writhing where ears should have been. Fall back, Elias shouted, dragging Rhea toward the safety of the rover. Kate hesitated, torn between retreat and standing her ground. The artifact pulsed violently in her hand, urging her forward. It wanted her to fight, not just the creature, but her own doubts. With renewed determination, she aimed another shot, this time targeting the portal itself. The beam struck true, destabilizing the gateway and causing the creature to falter. Seizing the moment, the team fled, leaving behind everything except the artifact clutched tightly in Kate's grasp. As they reached the relative safety of the rover, Kate turned back to look at the portal. It was shrinking now, its edges flickering like a dying flame. But before it vanished entirely, one final image flashed within its depths. A cityscape unlike anything she'd ever seen. Towering spires of crystalline material stretched toward an endless sky, bathed in hues of violet and gold. In the distance, colossal beings moved with deliberate slowness, their forms shimmering like mirages. What was that? Rhea asked, her voice trembling. I don't know, Kate admitted, though deep down, she suspected the truth. The artifact hadn't summoned an enemy. It had shown her a glimpse of its origin, and now it wanted her to go there. Back at the rover, tempers flared as accusations flew. You nearly got us killed, Marcus roared, pointing an accusatory finger at Kate. That thing is dangerous. You shouldn't have brought it here in the first place. I didn't ask for any of this. Kate shot back, her voice cracking under the weight of guilt and exhaustion. But I'm not giving up. Not when we're this close to understanding what it means. Her resolve only deepened the divide among the group. While some, like Elias, sided with caution, others, like Rhea, began questioning Kate's judgment entirely. "What if it's controlling you?" she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "What if none of this is really your choice?" Kate dismissed the notion, but doubt lingered. The artifact's influence was undeniable, its pull growing stronger with each passing hour. Images flooded her mind, visions of a distant world bathed in perpetual twilight, where towering spires reached toward an endless sky. And always, those same words echoed in her thoughts. "Dash, the gate must open." Desperate to regain control of the situation, Marcus suggested destroying the artifact once and for all. "We can't keep running from whatever that thing is," he argued. "If we smash it, maybe we can stop whatever's coming through." But Kate refused. "Destroying it won't solve anything," she insisted. "It's not the artifact that's dangerous. It's what's on the other side of that portal. If we destroy it now, we'll never understand why it led us here." Her arguments fell on deaf ears. The rest of the team began preparing makeshift explosives, determined to end the nightmare once and for all. Kate watched them work, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to believe they were right, that destroying the artifact would save them, but another part knew better. The artifact wasn't just an object. It was alive, sentient, and it wouldn't let itself be destroyed so easily. Desperation drove Kate to experiment further. Using the rover's limited resources, she constructed a makeshift containment field around the artifact, hoping to suppress its energy. At first, it worked. The hum subsided, and the visions faded. But peace came at a price. Without the artifact's guidance, Kate felt lost, adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Meanwhile, tensions outside the rover reached a boiling point. Supplies dwindled, and arguments escalated into outright hostility. One night, during a particularly heated exchange, Rhea confronted Kate directly. "If you won't destroy it, then I will," she declared, reaching for a laser cutter. Kate reacted instinctively, shoving Rhea aside and activating the artifact once more. The resulting surge of power knocked everyone unconscious, save for Kate herself. When the others awoke, they found her sitting motionless, staring blankly ahead as the artifact glowed brighter than ever before. Something had changed. The artifact no longer needed physical interaction to exert its influence. It spoke directly to Kate's mind, bypassing language altogether. Visions flooded her consciousness. Entire civilizations rising and falling, wars waged across galaxies, and a single unifying purpose driving it all. She saw herself standing atop a great pyramid, surrounded by beings both familiar and alien. They called her the Chosen One, a conduit for forces far beyond mortal comprehension. But the visions weren't gifts, they were demands. The artifact wanted her to return to the portal, to complete the ritual it had started. When she relayed these revelations to the group, skepticism turned to outright rebellion. "You've lost it," Marcus muttered, shaking his head. "This thing has completely taken over your mind." Yet Kate refused to listen. She convinced herself that fulfilling the artifact's purpose was the only way to ensure humanity's survival. Whether that belief stemmed from genuine conviction or manipulation remained unclear, even to her. The artifact's hold over Kate grew stronger with each passing day. It whispered promises of power, knowledge, and transcendence, tempting her with visions of a future where humanity stood alongside the stars. But for every dream it offered, it demanded sacrifice. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desert, Kate ventured out alone. She carried the artifact with her, its glow illuminating the path ahead. The others followed at a distance, unwilling to leave her unsupervised but equally reluctant to intervene. At the edge of the fissure, where the portal had briefly opened, she stopped. The ground still bore the scars of its emergence, cracked earth and scorched sand. Kate knelt, placing the artifact gently on the ground. It began to pulse rhythmically, resonating with the remnants of the portal's energy. "What are you doing?" Rhea called out, her voice tinged with panic. "Finishing what I started," Kate replied without looking back. As the artifact's energy intensified, the fissure reopened, revealing the swirling void once more. This time, however, the portal stabilized almost instantly, its edges shimmering with an ethereal light. Within its depths, the cityscape from Kate's vision reappeared, clearer and more vivid than before. The others hesitated, unsure whether to intervene or flee. But Kate stepped forward without hesitation, crossing the threshold into the unknown. As Kate crossed the threshold of the portal, the world around her dissolved into a kaleidoscope of light and sound. Colors swirled in impossible patterns, forming shapes that defied logic and physics. She felt weightless, as though suspended in a void where time and space held no meaning. The artifact pulsed in her hand, its energy resonating with the environment, guiding her forward like a compass pointing toward an unseen destination. When the disorienting journey ended, she found herself standing in the heart of the alien city she had glimpsed earlier. Towering crystalline spires stretched endlessly into the sky, their surfaces refracting light in dazzling displays of color. The air hummed with a low-frequency vibration, not unpleasant but deeply unsettling. A constant reminder that this place was alive in ways humanity could scarcely comprehend. Around her, the colossal beings moved with deliberate slowness, their forms shimmering like heat waves on a desert horizon. They were unlike anything she had ever imagined. Fluid yet solid, organic yet mechanical. Their eyes, if they could be called that, glowed with an inner light, and when they turned to regard her, she felt exposed, as if her very soul was laid bare before them. One of the beings approached, its massive form casting a shadow that enveloped her entirely. It extended a limb, or what might have been a limb, and touched the artifact in her hands. Instantly, a surge of energy coursed through her body, flooding her mind with images and sensations too vast to process. She saw galaxies being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, and threads of destiny weaving together across eons. When the vision subsided, she collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. The being spoke, not with words but directly into her mind. Its voice was neither kind nor cruel. It simply was Dash. "You have fulfilled your purpose," it intoned. "The gate is open." Kate struggled to understand. "What do you mean? What happens now?" "The cycle continues," came the reply, "and so shall you." Before she could ask more, the being stepped back, dissolving into the shimmering landscape. The city began to shift and change, its structures rearranging themselves as if preparing for something. Kate realized with growing dread that she hadn't come here to gain knowledge or power. She had come to serve as a catalyst for something far greater. Back at the fissure, the rest of the team watched in stunned silence as the portal expanded further, engulfing the surrounding area in a blinding light. When the brightness faded, strange figures began to materialize within its depths once more. This time, however, they weren't alone. Kate emerged from the portal, her expression blank and detached. In her hands, the artifact glowed brighter than ever before, its energy pulsating in sync with the rhythm of the portal. "Kate!" Rhea shouted, rushing toward her. But as she drew closer, she froze, her eyes widening in horror. Kate's irises had turned completely black, devoid of any trace of humanity. Her movements were mechanical, almost puppet-like, as though she were no longer in control of her own body. What happened to her? Marcus stammered, his voice trembling with fear. She's gone, Elias whispered, his face pale with realization. Whatever that thing did to her, it's taken over. But Kate, or whatever remained of her, showed no sign of recognition. Instead, she raised the artifact high above her head, channeling its power into a torrent of energy that surged outward, destabilizing the portal even further. The ground beneath them cracked and splintered, sending shockwaves rippling across the desert. "We need to stop her," Rhea cried, grabbing a makeshift weapon from the rover. "No!" Elias grabbed her arm, pulling her back. "It's too late. Look at her. She's not human anymore." Rhea hesitated, tears streaming down her face. She wanted to believe there was still some part of Kate left inside, fighting to break free. But the cold, empty gaze staring back at her told a different story. With a final, deafening roar, the portal exploded, consuming everything in its path, including the shadowy figures that poured forth in droves. Chaos erupted as the alien horde descended upon the team. Their attacks were relentless, overwhelming even the most valiant efforts of resistance. One by one, the crew fell until only Kate remained. But instead of fear, she felt peace. The artifact's voice resonated within her, assuring her that her sacrifice would pave the way for a new era. As the creatures closed in, she raised the artifact high above her head, channeling its power into a final, devastating blast. The explosion obliterated the portal and everything around it. When the dust settled, nothing remained of the encampment or the portal. Only silence greeted those who dared venture near the site. Back on Earth, news of the expedition's failure spread quickly, sparking debates about humanity's readiness to explore the unknown. Yet amidst the tragedy, rumors persisted. Some claimed to have seen Kate alive, wandering the deserts of Zargon, her eyes glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Others swore they heard whispers carried on the wind, speaking of a woman who had become one with the stars. Years passed and interest in Zargon waned, until one day, a new signal was detected emanating from the planet's surface. Scientists scrambled to decipher it, hoping for answers, but fearing what they might find. Could Kate still be out there? Or had the artifact claimed her soul entirely? A second expedition was launched, determined to uncover the truth. What they discovered defied explanation. Ruins of unimaginable scale, scattered across the desert like remnants of a forgotten age. At their center stood a lone figure, cloaked in shimmering light. "Welcome," she said, her voice echoing with celestial resonance. "I've been waiting for you." The fate of Zargon, and perhaps the universe, now rested in the hands of those brave enough to face the mysteries it guarded. But as the new arrivals approached the glowing figure, one question lingered in their minds. Had they come to save humanity, or seal its doom? Kate, or what remained of her, gazed at the newcomers with an expression both serene and sorrowful. She explained that the artifact had chosen her as a vessel, a bridge between worlds. Through her, the beings from beyond the portal sought to reshape reality itself, rewriting the rules of existence to suit their incomprehensible designs. "But why?" one of the scientists asked, his voice trembling. "Why us? Why now?" Kate smiled faintly, though there was no warmth in it. "Because you were ready," she replied. "Whether you realize it or not, humanity has always been part of something greater. The artifact was merely a tool, a means to awaken you to your true potential." Her words sent a chill through the group. They had come seeking answers, but what they found challenged everything they thought they knew about life, consciousness, and the nature of the cosmos. As the days turned into weeks, The newcomers began to piece together fragments of the truth. The artifact wasn't just a relic. It was a fragment of a larger construct, scattered across countless worlds. Each piece contained a shard of the collective consciousness that governed the universe, and each activation brought them closer to reuniting the whole. Kate revealed that she had become a guardian of sorts, tasked with ensuring the completion of the cycle. But she also warned that the process came at a cost. Worlds would change, realities would shift, and some would inevitably be lost along the way. "You can still walk away," she told them. "But know this, if you leave, the cycle will continue without you. And when it does, you may not recognize the universe you return to." The choice weighed heavily on the group. Some argued for destroying the artifact, believing that its influence posed too great a risk. Others believed that embracing it was the only way to ensure humanity's survival in an ever-changing cosmos. In the end, they decided to take the artifact with them, hoping to study it further and unlock its secrets safely. But as they prepared to depart, Kate vanished, leaving behind only a single cryptic message: "The gate will open again." Back on Earth, the artifact became the subject of intense scrutiny. Governments, corporations, and rogue factions vied for control, each driven by their own agendas. Meanwhile, reports of strange phenomena began to surface worldwide: unexplained disappearances, bizarre weather patterns, and sightings of unidentified objects in the sky. Some speculated that the artifact's presence had disrupted the fabric of reality, while others believed it had awakened dormant forces buried deep within the planet. Whatever the case, one thing was certain: the artifact had changed everything. In secret laboratories hidden beneath mountains and oceans, scientists worked tirelessly to unravel its mysteries. But every breakthrough came at a price. Those who interacted with the artifact reported hearing voices, seeing visions, and experiencing vivid dreams of alien worlds. Some went mad. Others disappeared entirely. Amidst the chaos, a small group of researchers uncovered a chilling revelation. The artifact wasn't just a key, it was a prison. And somewhere out there, something was trying to escape. As the countdown to the next activation began, humanity faced a choice: embrace the unknown and risk annihilation, or destroy the artifact and sever their connection to the stars forever. If you enjoyed this mind-bending journey into the heart of cosmic mystery, don't forget to hit subscribe for more thrilling adventures from the depths of space and beyond.